Well, joining us now is psychotherapist Michelle Bridgman from the Boy Girl Gender Trust. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on Afternoon Live. This is a challenging situation for all concerned, isn't it?
Hi, Kay. Yeah. The organisation is just called the Gender Trust, by the way. It is a very challenging situation, and I think it's been reported in a very sensational way. I mean, this child has not, as was reported, literally changed sex during a school holiday. As I understand it, I'm not privy to all the details of the particular case. This is a child who has come back to school and is living in the female gender, and they may be working towards something, but at the moment that's really what the state of play is.
Michelle, you had a similar challenge personally some time ago now. What sort of sympathies or empathies can you offer both to the child and also to the parents? It must be a very difficult time for them.
Well, I think it is, and I think, you know, my heart goes out to them really. I can only imagine what they're thinking with all of this that's going on. And I think people need to understand that this is probably not something that has just come up. I mean, this child has probably been struggling with this for quite some time. So it's not as though they've sort of gone home from school and then over a 6-week school holiday have suddenly made this decision and come back. And usually when this sort of thing happens, it's a very profound feeling and belief that the child has got. And my guess is that the parents have sort of wrestled with it and struggled with it. And in the interest of the child's health and mental health, that, you know, that for the moment certainly that child is going to live in the opposite gender. But, you know, nobody's taken hormones or had surgery or anything at this point. I think it's, you know, really important to stress that and keep some perspective in this.
But what about the challenges and the trials for the other children? Because if you're 12, you know, you're still a very small child, aren't you? A lot to take in.
I agree, and it is difficult. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I wouldn't want to, you know, underplay the importance of that. I think what should have happened, and I don't know exactly what happened, but I think with some preparation and some planning, you know, telling the school in assembly, I would suggest, was probably not the best way to do it. And, you know, if children don't have anything explained to them, but, you know, children are far more intelligent than we give them credit for. Nevertheless, they can't possibly cope with something like this if it isn't explained in a rational way. And I'm sure their friend who's come back would want them to know about it, but to understand why they've done it, rather than them thinking that they're having some bizarre lifestyle foisted on them.
Kids can be cruel though,
and
can't
I think
they?
the way...
Sorry, Michelle, I interrupted
well, of course
you
they
there.
can.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. It's okay. No, you're absolutely right. They can. And that's another reason, really, for understanding that this child has probably not done this lightly. I mean, if this is a profound experience, they won't have wanted to have just done this on a whim. They probably have wrestled with it and have tried not to do it, would be my guess. But a feeling that the only way that they can feel at peace with themselves is to start to begin at least living in the gender role. And I'm not sure if you know this, but, sorry, I was going to just add that you know, a child won't be given hormones and surgery at this age. It doesn't happen in this country. You know, people can't have sex reassignment surgery until they're adults at 18 or above. So, you know, this is not somebody, you know, a headline that says sex swap is really not a very accurate description of what's actually happened here.
No, but I suppose it then raises the issue, Michelle. Sorry to interrupt you there. It does, I think, probably raise the issue whether it's appropriate then for a child to be seen as a different sex at the age of 12 at school, when all your hormones are running around at that age anyway. You're not really sure about quite a lot of things.
No, which is one of the reasons why nothing permanent will have been done. But I can only hazard a guess that in this instant, I mean, it's quite unusual. I mean, this is not an everyday occurrence, obviously. And my guess is that the feeling has been so profound and so distressing that a decision was probably taken, I hope, in consultation with clinicians, that this was probably as a short-term measure in the best interest of the child. And if as the child grows and develops and still has the belief that this is what they want to do, then they can start talking about drugs and hormones. In many countries, not in this country, they will defer puberty by administering puberty blockers to children. It doesn't stop puberty but just delays it. That can buy some time. But they're not available in the UK. So this child will continue to develop in a male body, and whilst it might be deemed that it's very young and taking risks to do something at that age, you could also conversely argue that not to do anything would be very damaging psychologically for this child. And that would be my guess, although, as I say, I don't know the details of this case.
Okay, Michelle, it's a very challenging debate. Thank you for speaking so eloquently about it. We appreciate your time.
It is, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.